This
Good evening,
conference will
everyone.
now be recorded.
September the 5th, 2022, Bladen County Commissioners meeting. At this time, I'm going to ask Brother Cameron Gill to lead us in prayer. Mr. Martin, lead following the pledge, please.
Right. Father, we thank you for the privilege of living in a free country where we get to choose those that represent us. Lord, on behalf of the commissioners tonight, we thank you for the privilege of being of those chosen few. I pray we might take our responsibility seriously, realizing that we represent those who have put us in this position, also representing you to do the right thing, to live above reproach or moral conduct that's besetting of our office and for the place that you've put us. Every elected official is there because you've allowed us that privilege. Thank you for our community. Thank you for, Lord, the sweet place it is to call home. I pray that every decision that we might make tonight would make it even sweeter. Go with us, give us discernment, wisdom, and good judgment. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Before we start our meeting tonight, Mr. Cogdell and Dr. Mungoins understand it's going to be a little late coming in, but we expect them to be coming up shortly. Everyone.
Must move for a second.
Got a motion from Mr. Peterson, a second from Mr. Hester. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We'll get our first oath of office tonight by our new clerk. This time we will turn it over to her at this time to swear commissioners in.
Everybody, this is my wife, Elizabeth Lewis Bullock.
Hello.
You there?
Hello.
If you would just raise your right. Do you hereby solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States, so help you God? Do you further solemnly swear that or affirm that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina and to the constitutional powers and authorities which are or may be established for the government thereof, that you will endeavor to support, maintain, and defend the Constitution of North Carolina, not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States, to the best of your ability, so help you God?
I will, Ron.
Do you further swear or affirm that you will well and truly execute the duties of the office of County Commissioner according to the best of your skill and ability, and according to the law, so help you God?
I will.
And Ms. Hershey, we thank you. We enjoyed the service this morning. It was a good crowd of folks. Well, we look forward to working with you.
I look forward to working with you all.
Yes, ma'am. And before I turn it over to Mr. Martin, at this time, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the commissioners for this past year, and Mr. Martin and his staff and the county employees for working with me as your chair. It's been an honor and a pleasure. Everyone has worked with me so great, from the sheriff's department to the clerk's office. It's always an honor to represent this board to our county. My motto is to try to keep peace, do the will of the people, and remember who we work for, and we work for the people. It's not about party. It's for the betterment of this county. And the expectations of the people in this county is for us to do exactly what I have said and do what is best for this county. And I don't take that lightly. And again, I thank each and every one of you for working with me and giving me this opportunity. Thank you again so much. Mr. Martin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, we'll have the election of board officers, and we'll begin with the office of chairperson.
Mr. Rodney Hester, Chair.
Second.
Mr. Hester has been nominated. Are there other nominations?
Got a motion by Mr. Peterson, second by Mr. Cameron McGill. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
This time, we'll have the election of vice chair.
I nominate Commissioner Gillespie. Danny Ellis. Second.
Mr.
We got a motion by Mr. Bullock for Mr. Gillespie. And we got a motion by Mr. Peterson for Dr. Danny Ellis. Can I get a vote on Mr. Gillespie this time? Two. Madam Clerk, for Dr. Ellis, raise your right hand. Thank you so much. At this time, we'll take a short recess and be back here in about 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes.
This conference will now be recorded.
Call the meeting back to order. I'd like to recognize Mr. Kent Lambert with Commissioner David Rouser's office for a 10-hour meeting tonight. It's good to see you, sir. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come to this. My pleasure. This time, are there any individuals?
Mr. Aaron Cobb.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I come to you tonight on behalf of Spalding Monroe Alumni Association, and I really just wanted to come, and they wanted me to come and express to the board, and especially to Commissioner Peterson and Hester, thank you for the monies allotted to Spalding Monroe and to the whole board for the other $10,000 that was allotted. Since receiving the grants, we want to give you sort of an update of what we've done so far. We want to invite you to come to Spalding Monroe to see where we've come from. We still have some ways to go, but it's a totally different environment from where it was a couple months ago. We've did a lot of needed repairs to the facility. We had some things that we had planned to do, but some things that came up that we didn't have plans for, and that was because the fire marshal came by and he helped us along. Because Spalding Monroe is a bouldering site, we had to do some things that were required. We created or set aside a monthly date where we do mandatory cleanups, and that's volunteers come out to the center and do a lot of cleaning and repairs that we can do. But in doing that, we found some other issues that had to be addressed, and one of them was an HVAC system. Another was a termite issue. Spalding Monroe is an older building, but it's in great shape as far as the structure is concerned. One of the things that I found out, and I didn't realize before, was that Spalding Monroe actually is has cement, is on a cement platform. So there's no sway in the floor. The floor is level throughout. It's I don't know. I mean, they built it on a sound structure, and it's still solid all the way through. The roof is another thing over the cafeteria. We need some work done there. One of the things that we were told is that with the bouldering site, initially we were told we needed Wi-Fi, so we went and we installed Wi-Fi with a Deco mesh system that gives the total building now Wi-Fi connectability. So anywhere on the facility, you can have service. And we needed that for some of the programs that we wanted to do. I mentioned the termite thing, so we had to partially address that, so we had some treatment done there. We also found stuff like light fixtures and some electrical issues that had to be repaired, and some floor coverings, some painting. I don't know why, but throughout just me driving through, even Elizabethtown and Bladenboro and Clarkton, but anywhere there's an abandoned building, it seems like somebody wants to break some windows. So we had to replace a lot of glass, and we still have some to do. Because of the partnership, and this is one that we had mentioned that we wanted to get into, and due to your funding, we were able to have a long-time commitment from A. Philip Randolph Institute. We initially signed a 3-year agreement with them, and we're in talks now to possibly extend that to 10 years. But what that does is it helps us with partnering with them where they are able to give services to the community in areas of employment, training and counseling, education, healthcare, and food insecurity, housing, social justice. We've also been able to repair and clean up 9 spaces that are usable for the community now. We've been able to facilitate a community family fun day. We provide spaces for the community events as well as public and private and gatherings. So we've had retirement parties, we've had baby showers, youth and dance groups come out, just providing a space where they can do that. We have a monthly food distribution, free food distribution. We provide free space for DAV, which is the Disabled American Veterans. We provide also a free space for regular NAAA meetings. And we won't, even tonight, there's someone from the health department, I believe, that's meeting with the rest of the group to discuss needs in the areas for substance abuse and how we can partner and do some stuff together, hopefully in the future. We've reached out to Bladen Community College. We have a planned meeting where hopefully we can come to some type of agreement on possible classes taught at Spalding Monroe. We have created and cleaned up some great classroom spaces that are available. Our hope is that one day we'll be able to partner with the Bladen County Mental Health, as well as we can, social services. I don't know, I'm from the military side of me. When I got out of the military, we had something called a one-stop center, and that's how we processed out. It was if someone was in transition, you just went to one location, and they did an assessment, and they kind of figured out what you needed, and you could get it all at one place, rather than having to go to all of these different places for services. Sometimes people get lost in that transition. I'm a sort of North guy, but I recently took care of my elderly brother until he passed away, and just maneuvering through whatever you want to call it. It's hectic sometimes, just trying to figure out what you need to do, what documents you need, where you need to go, and all of that kind of stuff. We have still some tremendous needs. We're trying to be diligent and economically smart and methodical with what we have and what we've received so far. But we are focused on where we're trying to go. And due to the visit from the fire marshal, we have had to continue with planned repairs and stuff. But I will say that all of the things that the fire marshal have identified, we've fixed those. And fixing those, we find other things, So we've prepared a computer lab, 5 classrooms, and 4 offices. We have had to replace doors, buy new locks, put up new exit signs, the termite treatment, new floor coverings, paintings, rooms, repair window panes, and purchase the HVAC system. We received a total of $30,000 from you all, and currently we have a balance of $18,471. So we're not throwing your money away. We are trying to be very smart with how we're using it. But again, we have some tremendous issues still that we've got to address, especially that roof over the cafeteria and the the kitchen. And so depending on how things go with BCC, the health department, or with substance treatment, and any other department that wants to partner with us, because that's how we see the best way for us to do things is to partner with agencies that are already doing things so we don't duplicate services and that we're able to reach the greatest number of citizens. And we know that, with the 18,000 repairs that we have remaining, that won't go far. We have, we want to redo the kitchen area as well. There are more windows, more window panes that has to be replaced and fixed. But we are extremely hopeful and confident, and we are focused on what we're going to do going forward. So with your help and hopefully some more funds, we can get some more stuff done for the citizens of Bladen County. Any questions?
Thank you. That's the kind of reports we want.
Amen.
We want to make sure that money that we give people are being used wisely, and thank you for coming tonight and doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cox, thank you. Anyone else, Madam Clerk? Matters of interest to commissioners.
Mr. Chairman, I have a concern regarding the Bladen Community College Board of Trustees. I have been looking at that, and we have, I think there's one position that's available there. I'd like to nominate an individual for that, Mrs. Elizabeth Cox.
Mr. Esther, it's not on the agenda, and that needs to come from the community college. I think they're doing their diligence and giving the family time to grieve before they bring that to us, what some of the trustees have told me.
I talked to a couple of the trustees, and I got positive feedback in regards to this incident here with Ms. Cox. I got some positive feedback on that as well.
As your representative from the county commissioners on the board of trustees at the college, that is the thing that most of us has had conversations with trustees about it, is respect for the family right now, that we haven't done anything. And I look forward to probably being after the holidays.
Well, that was a thing of mine, on my mind, so I wanted to just mention that, let everyone be aware of that. That is a concern. So just got that out on the floor. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Ask if we could get some kind of update on Elwell Ferry. That's a lot of folks want to know. It's been closed, open.
That came in an email, didn't it? Yeah. That came out in an email.
We didn't get regular emails on it.
Yeah, but it's every day it's something totally different. And so
Most recent issue I remember is there was an issue with hydraulic fluid leaking.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but there was, appreciate everybody clarify. My question was, is there any, projected time when those folks can, we've been telling them time and time again, it's almost done, it's almost done, it's almost done. They're so tired of hearing it's almost done, they've given up. So we went and it was completely restored, rebuilt everything from the ground up, and then they used it for like 2 days and it sprung a leak, and now we're told indefinitely it's closed again. So that's the question. Is there any, idea of when it might be back in service? Thank you.
Anyone else? Next on the agenda is Mr. Elkins, Planning Director.
I just wanted to come before you tonight to give you an update on the 2020 census. I know that was over 2 years ago, but I just want to tell you about some things that have been going on. As you are aware, in one of the memos I sent, the county lost 16% of its population from 2010 to 2020, and there is a process to challenge not that the actual population, but challenge the census. It's called a census count question resolution operation. And the three things that can be challenged are the county boundaries, so which we know that those haven't changed. The other thing was group quarters, the number of people living in group quarters, and group quarters are your jails, rest homes, dormitories, which we don't have, but the total number of that number that was generated through the Census Bureau was 327. So it kind of felt like that was in line, because we don't have that many folks in rest homes here in the county. The third thing was the number of housing units. So that was the only thing that we could, possibly even submit a challenge for. And in a memo that was in your packet also, it says that the Census Bureau they're not going to do a recount. If there are any errors, and we have 11 census tracts in the county, 59 census blocks, which break down even further to 1,700 59 block groups, and breaks down even further into 1,700 census blocks. So when counting housing units, you're looking at how do you even begin to do that? One thing is to divide the roads and count houses, but there's thousands of houses in a census group. So and the 16% population loss was in line with what the towns lost. Clarkson, Dublin, Tar Heel lost over 20%. Clarkson lost 27%, and White Lake actually gained 5%. So it was kind of in line with what. So we're thinking, we're talking with tax office and county manager. How can we? What legitimacy can we say? Okay, y'all were wrong. Y'all missed X number of houses, because we're not talking about people. We're talking about occupied houses. Well, there's a problem. Can you pull that second item up, the census PDF? Yeah, thank you. So we went back to looking at, how many homes are paying the solid waste user fee in the county for collection, for disposal. So in 2010, there were 15,415 homes that were being charged that solid waste user fee. Okay, look at 2020, that number dropped to 14,812. Okay, on the next line, how many homes did the census say were total in Bladen County? Well, in 2010, 17,715. In 2020, the Census Bureau said we only had 15,131 structures that they counted, or that they actually went to and counted people. So when you look at those two numbers from 2020, from the folks that paid the solid waste user fee, who are people that are generating trash in a household, was 14,812. The Census Bureau actually said that they actually counted more, had more homes than what we even had that were paying the solid waste user fee. So I kind of figured if there was a big discrepancy in those two numbers, then that would be some evidence to give to the Census Bureau and say, hey, y'all missed 2,000 homes, or 1,000, or 1,500. And going down to the third line, obviously we know our population decreased. Decreased by 5,577 people. So what this was done for was just kind of show the trend, I guess, of 2010 to 2020 we lost user fee, folks paying user fee. We lost, Census Bureau said we lost 2,500 houses, and of course our population decreased. So just saying all that to say, the Census Bureau, like I said earlier, they will not do a recount, and if we do submit a challenge to them with some legitimate evidence that to show them that, hey, y'all really messed up in this census tract right here. They won't change our official census count. And we're just kind of looking at, just wanted to let y'all know that, it seems kind of like a snail, like we're trying to eat an elephant or something, or chasing a rabbit that I can't catch, but anyway.
I think that a lot of us know that's pretty realistic. And I think what the county, the college, and the entire administrative people all over the county coming up with a strategic plan. We're aware of these issues, and that's why everybody's working together as hard as we can to fight it. The numbers that you're given is alarming, but what's even more alarming is for the next 20 years. So that's what we're trying to head off. It's a major concern. My understanding, Columbus County's expectation in the next 20 years is to lose up to maybe 38% of their population, and we're what, Mr. Martin, 26? 27. And so, again, as your representative at the college, we're working hard there. A lot of things is in place to start after the first of the year. We just discussed this at our last board meeting. Getting our people, our young people prepared, number one, to step forward and be willing to take classes that to get good jobs, you got to have people willing to have skills. We've had a major issue with that, getting people to step forward, our seniors and all, to take the skilled classes, whether they be free or not. But we all have to work together to identify these problems. And I think all that is in the workplace. So we know the obstacles that's ahead of us. And it's not just our counties, it's rural counties in general that are facing these problems. And we say that through concern because of our tax base. What happens if we lose another 6,000 or 7,000 people? What it's going to cost all of us that still own homes? When we're struggling now, the people that's getting $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 a month Social Security and having to pay property taxes, eat, car insurance, house insurance. God bless them, because I don't know how to do it. And so that's going to affect them even harder. So I think from what I see and the committees that I've talked to, I think everybody's on board. There's a lot of things that's in the works with the town and even Bladenboro, Elizabethtown, and all that. Everybody's willing to work hard because we know what's ahead of us, and we're trying to stop the curve and stop the bleed, and don't think that we're not all aware of it and very concerned. And I say that, I hope for each and every one of us here. Not mean to burn too much time, but it's lays on this burden on your heart. Try to help correct.
Just, I guess, a comment. I still think we've got citizens that don't want to be found, that want to be counted. Back when COVID hit, our church stepped up and said, we'll help deliver meals. So we would go to Elizabethtown Middle School, pick up 88 meals. We'd take them out. We'd bring back 84. We found 4 kids in homes where they were supposed to be. We take them back and they said, we don't know. I don't know where they are. Because some of them, the addresses didn't even exist. There were bogus addresses. Other times somebody said, well, no, nobody's lived here in 5 years by that name and that sort of thing. So I just wonder how many people are out there, too, in the county that are flying below the radar by choice or whatever. It's concerning to think that the children in the schools don't know where they live. So if they need to contact a parent, how do they do it? That's just been very alarming. And it doesn't make sense. We've got this housing crisis. You can't find a house to rent, but yet we've lost, 16% of our houses just becoming unlivable or something, I guess, maybe. Comment.
Mr. Peters.
So, Greg, am I looking at this right? You're saying that homes per census is 2,600 houses less now than there were in 2010?
Right.
That don't even make sense to me. Yeah. We've had houses built since then. Is there 26 houses that's not livable anymore? That right there is enough to go after as far as I'm concerned. And then you've got about 600 is not paying landfill. That's, if you go after just make them pay landfill taxes, that'd help the county. But 2,600 houses, I just don't think that number's right.
Mr. Chairman?
Okay, Mr. Elkins, could the storm destruction have a positive impact on?
I'm sure it definitely had an impact. Yeah.
On the number of houses that we have?
Sure, I'm sure it did, yeah.
The 10-year span too, isn't it? Okay, Mr. Martin, what impact does this have on our federal funding? Does it have any impact on?
Yes, sir, it reduced.
Is it a great reduction?
What was it, $1,800?
How much is it?
We heard before the census, we heard $1,800 per person for each. Right.
That's $180,000 for 10 years per person.
Annually. That's 10 years, isn't it? Wow. Mr. Brewer.
Greg, I think you know as well as anybody with your time and position, I can think of 4 mobile home parks right now that in 2010 were in existence, and now they're sitting there shut down totally. Some of the homes have totally been moved off, and some of them just nobody in them at all. They need to be tore down, hauled off. But that's just 4 or 5 that I know and have seen, and you may know of a whole bunch more that those numbers can add up.
Yeah, and you know, if we submit an appeal for a number, you know, I agree that 2,500 sounds a high number, but they're going to say, well, prove it. You know, and then that's why I went to the tax scrolls.
2,500 houses. You don't know how many people would be in those houses. You're talking about $180,000 over 10 years per person.
Yeah.
And if we ain't got money to hire somebody to help you sample this data, we cannot just accept it like it is. That's a pile of money. A pile of money. There's 2,500 different.
2,600.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. I mean, I'm not trying to find.
I've been
but I'm just telling you.
I have talked with Jan also at the Council of Governments, and just asked her, what are other counties? Other counties were in the same position we are, or in towns too. And she said the only town or the only government agency that she knew of that was challenging census was the town of Apex, and they were challenging it based on their boundary lines, which that's easier to challenge if they annex properties in.
I got plenty of people.
Yeah, they do. But I really don't know what to do. I mean, I don't know how to count these houses. I don't know how to prove that there are 2,500 vacant houses out there.
Yeah, prove to me or not.
Well, right. I don't have to prove it. I don't have to prove it either way.
When we look at this data, I looked at something that has occurred with, I think, Nathan, the NC rebuild, the hurricane, Florence. That's been about 7 years ago since Florence came here, Matthew came in. And when I look at some of the data on that, it was 370 applications that were processed through. I'm aware of. Then
We're getting, me and Greg met, we're gonna get a full report.
yeah, then he had some coming in. But it was an astronomical amount of houses that got damaged beyond repair that couldn't even go through NC rebuild. Where people literally vacated those homes because they had to leave. Mobile homes that we would call them houses that no longer exist. So I don't know about 2,500, but there's a significant amount of homes that have been damaged from the hurricane, both of those storms. And when you count the total of them up, 2,600, that's a big stretch. But I know people that came in that processed stuff, and their homes were completely demolished. They can't even build them now. They back now still trying to figure out how to get resources to put houses back in place. That when you go out in the woods and look for mobile homes that we've classified as houses and homes that no longer exist. And this astronomical number, They're sitting out there. If you go out in the rural area and start looking here and there, where it used to be a mobile home, we conclude as a home, a place of residence that no longer exists. And I know you go down through White Oak, it's astronomical houses out there. You just right, don't exist no more. They're there, but no one's occupied. So is that the part of the scenario that they took into the census when they went in to see what was driving that 2,500 number? Homes that used to previously existed no longer exist.
Yeah, they had, these, first thing they did, they sent these questionnaires to the individuals' houses. And if they didn't get a response, if somebody didn't fill it out, mail it back in, then I think they went to their house, maybe, and then they had sent these enumerators out, and then they actually knocked on the door. Well, if they pulled up to the house and they could tell it was vacant, then they just, documented that and moved on to the next one.
The reason I'm asking, I know one gentleman came in to get some help, and he had 13 mobile homes that he was renting. And at that time, he thought he'd get some assistance. He had 13 he had to just abandon that people were occupying before the storm came in. So can we look at the data that was previously existing when we do like our evaluation? Can we look at that data and see what's not being counted back with the real data that we got going on now? Can we compare that number to what's happening now?
That may be good data. We were trying to think that the solid waste fee may be a good marker for. And one thing I want to point out is that those homes do not include the disabled veterans, so that number would be slightly higher. What we were trying to do is show a relative change from 2010 to 2020, and you can see that we had a decline on the county side as well.
But with the real value that we're doing now with that show,
I don't know that it would, because the most recent one to that one was 2015. It would show a difference in the total number of homes.
just did reval.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Is that number showing in contrast to this 0.6 on the house?
It would kind of do like the solid waste fee. It could show a relative change. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's 600 fees that are not being paid if the houses are there, and that, if you multiply that times 180, I mean, there's.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The disabled, it was to get a relative number. That does not include disabled.
I personally think we need to look into it a little deeper and see what it can take to see where we at. I mean, if you just accept what the state or the federal government does to you, you're gonna get just move on and forget about it.
Mr. Chairman. Yes. Suppose we do locate other houses, what impact would that have on our federal funding? If we find more houses, I mean.
Well, yeah, but they're not, but like I said earlier in that memo, which is your other slide that you have, and I don't really know what this means. It says they're not going to do a recount, so they're not going to go back and recount people. Because the only thing we can challenge are the number. You cannot challenge on population. That's in that email. That came from Michael Klein, the state demographer. And the estimates won't change your official 2020 census count. Focus only on boundary issues and housing unit counts only. You cannot challenge on population.
So Mr. Chairman.
That don't even make sense. Why do they give you opportunity to appeal it and then it ain't gonna affect the census?
Mr. Chairman, so really, we're just talking about something that we can't do anything about.
I can go say, well, yeah, here's 2,000 houses y'all missed, but if they're not going to go back and count people.
Mr. Chance is listening to us. We'll go back to the federal government on that. You got to be able to, if they give you a chance to appeal it, they got to adjust it.
And Jen and I have been talking too, and it seems like they've made it so difficult to challenge that people just, it's just hard to prove. We'll sit here and talk about it, think, oh, that can't be right, that can't be right, and it might not be right.
I think most of them do more research on it and get Rouser and Tillis and all them to verify that's correct and why. And why it's in there like that.
Second by Mr. Britt. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nay.
Hey, I understand. They're doing it. Don't do any good. It's
No good. No, it's wasted money.
Yeah.
They ain't wasting money. They ain't doing nothing but verifying what the thing says.
Who is it gonna cost? Who's gonna pay the expenditure for it?
It don't cost nothing since Congressman Rouser a letter Does it?
Y'all ain't gonna sit between y'all gonna fuss all the time.
Better move. You're in the wrong spot, Bubba.
He was sitting there.
You better switch back to Charles Ray. Let's go there.
Thank you, Mr. Next, we have, Ms. Smith, Director of Department of Social Services.
Your hair gonna grow back.
Good evening. Hope everybody had a good holiday and that we're getting ready for the Christmas holidays. I'm here this evening for your consideration of the reclassification of a quality assurance specialist. This was included in this year's budget, and this has been a learning process, the reclassification of a position. I was informed that we needed to have our county contractor management analyst, David Hill, to review the job description. Well, upon his review, he suggested that we reclassify the position from the quality assurance specialist to an economic services assurance analyst. And what this would do, it elevates the position. We had it in as a 25. This would elevate it to a 27. And the need to have it elevated is because this position or this person will be reviewing their peers' work. So need to have that differential between the two positions. So what that is going to mean, this position is going to require the review of cases of fellow case workers, as I said, for compliance and eligibility mandates. This reclassification will raise the salary from $39,799.50 to $43,855.50, which is results in an increase of $4,056 per year. Now, for this year, we've already got that money in unspent salary. We would have to increase that line item in next year's budget. And with this, also, this is a 50% reimbursement.
Make a motion.
Second. Got a motion by Mr. Briggs, second by Mr. Gill, Mr. Peterson.
Ms. Smith, thank you for saying it's a learning experience. But, and Mr. Martin, I guess I'm talking to you. I think when a position is brought to this board, we need to know what the salary is when we vote on it originally. Because this is going to add to our budget next year for these positions. And thank you again for bringing it to us.
I think it's in here. I have two questions. Is a person in that position already?
No, ma'am. We have not hired anyone.
So you plan to hire within first?
It would need to be someone that has knowledge,
Exactly.
which we would hope would be someone from within house or from another county that already has the knowledge.
Will be advertised.
Correct. This is, we will start in the beginning with Medicaid, the reviews of that, and then we will increase it into the food and nutrition, all of it as well. This position, they would, with their review, they would look for trends and suggest trainings, to correct those issues that we're finding and develop trainings.
And then here, it says that in the past, the salary of that position was $39,799, and it will increase $1,056.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, is this a supervisory position?
No, it is not.
Okay. But the person that, well, okay.
They will be supervised by our interim maintenance program administrator.
Okay.
But it is not a.
Listen, is this position being aligned from the state recommendation? Where's this recommendation to?
It came from David Hill, who contracts with the county. He's our business analyst. He reviews job descriptions. He was the one.
Our compensation classification
Yes.
plan.
So he feels that we need to add and insert this particular individual
Yes.
into the scenario.
Yes. Or to just reclassify the position from what it was to this.
This would be a continuation type thing. It won't be something that's temporary for 1 year and out.
It would be included in
Permanent
it.
type.
Yes.
So how many employees how many positions are we talking about?
One
Just
position.
one?
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Uh-huh.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Ms. Jones, our Human Resources Director.
Good evening.
Second.
Oh, you know, thank you. Tell you what, yeah, on board, first second.
Got a motion by Mr. Pierce, who was the second?
Second.
Mr. McGill, any questions, discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Good job.
Thank you.
Great job.
Two hours.
All right, next up will be Sheriff Fisher.
Pretty good.
So we're asking for approval of a new contract with Trinity, our prior vendor. We met with y'all, expressed our issues, hasn't got any better, if anything's gotten worse. Got to the point where the jailers have to buy food on the weekends.
Yeah, that makes a motion.
Second. Have a motion by Mr. McGill, second by Mr. Britt. Any discussion?
Yeah, I want him,
You didn't finish it.
I want to hear what he's saying about it's gotten worse on the weekends, but they don't.
They're not ordering enough food for the inmates, so the jailers are having to buy food, and we're having to reimburse them, at the grocery store and stuff, so.
Have they signed a contract, that group?
It's about the month with the other group.
Oh, okay.
This will be for a year and a half initially, and it'll be on 1-year contract.
And have you received any type of, classification from other people that they have served?
Oh, yes, yes, sir.
Other jail?
Thank you. All in, Mr. Cobb.
What was the increase on that? We looked at one and we talked about the increased cost on, what's the increased cost on that again?
It's pretty substantial,
Around 200.
about 200,000 more, but you gotta remember the crowd that we're with now, we were the lowest, we were paying the lowest price per plate in the entire state, and there was no, inflation figured in that or anything, so.
And this new contract is just for 1 year duration.
Actually, it's a little over a year and a half, because it'll start in January and run through June of 24, and then there'll be a 1-year,
So every year it'll renew.
right, after this first year and a half, yes, sir, that's correct. Yeah, when the move is made.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
Thank
Thank you. All right, folks, you can see the advisory board appointments for consideration for December 19th. There's a lot of them. And now, Mr. Martin, our county manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to review the calendar with you for the remainder of December and January. And point out that this Friday, December 9th, 6:30 p.m., the Home for the Holiday show will take place at Bladen Community College in the auditorium. On Monday, the 12th, at 11:30 a.m., I wanted to let you all know about this. You all may recall that Trillium granted Bladen County $77,000 approximately for medication to be used at the healing place. And so they want to have a check presentation type event that'll take place here in the Commissioner's Room. So I just want to let you all know about it. We welcome any and all of you who can be here. Also, that afternoon at 5 p.m., the Bladen County Board of Education will have a reception for its board members. They have several new board members. Also, that evening at 5 o'clock, the Health and Human Services Advisory Committee meets. On Tuesday, the 13th at 5 p.m., Santa's 4-H workshop will take place at the Melvin Building. On Saturday, the 17th at 3 p.m., there's a community prayer service on the courthouse lawn. The board meets on Monday, the 19th at 6:30 p.m. County offices will be closed on Friday, the 23rd through Tuesday, the 27th, service of Christmas holiday. Also, moving over to January, county offices will also be closed on Monday, the 2nd, in service of the New Year's Day holiday. There's a prayer service on Tuesday, the 3rd, here at 8 a.m. Board meets that evening at 6:30. On Monday, the 16th, county offices will close in service of the Martin Luther King Junior holiday, and also there's a parade here in town that morning at 11. The board meets on Tuesday, the 17th at 6:30. Then on Tuesday, the 31st at 6 p.m., the Substance Misuse Task Force will be at Bladen College.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Could I ask for some answers, question to the board? With Trillium, I know, I've heard positive things, but the thing with Trillium, I'm trying to figure out, would it be the side of the board, like when we were dealing with East Point, we had a concern that we didn't never get updates. Nobody would come and talk to us. And I haven't seen Trillium in here since they came in the door to update us, to let us know what's going on with Trillium. This board should be brought up to speed with what's happened, so we won't get caught in the same scenario. Everybody sitting back trying to figure out what the board is doing. Some kind of way, they need to come and do a presentation to us to keep us in the loop of what's going on.
Get that. Really?
We can get somebody to handle that piece of it.
We'll work on getting out. Alrighty, moving on to item B. At the last meeting, we were asked to inquire with advisory boards about their interest in participating in meetings remotely, if that's an option. We received a little bit of mixed feedback. We shared that with you. For instance, the Home and Community Care Block Grant Aging Advisory Committee, most of those responded that they prefer in-person meetings. A couple of indicated maybe the option to participate by telephone. They participate Zoom or GoTo, that type of thing. The Health and Human Services Advisory Committee indicated that they would prefer to have in-person meetings. The JCPC discussed it at the last meeting. Members expressed that some did not attend even when they had remote technology available, although they had some issues with that as well. And a couple of members responded they favored in-person meetings. The EMS Advisory Board, Dr. Carter, who serves on indicated that like in-person meetings, maybe in the event that someone was having a hardship, it might be a good option or whatever. So a little bit of a mixed bag, as you can imagine.
So basically what we're saying, is that each one of the individual boards decide on how they're gonna.
Well, no, that's something for you all to determine. That we were just trying to share some feedback that we received.
Well, I agree with the person at JCPC because they are correct. You put people on, select people and put them on the board and they didn't show up. They did not show up. But I'm asking, I like to participate for myself. I can't make it at 12.
The only reason I brought this certain area to the board was sometime when you have the meetings that's in the Zoom perspective, you can bring outside energy with expertise that you could get information from, resources from that would zoom in and bring that type of information to you. Like you want to talk with somebody that was in DHS in Raleigh. If you had a Zoom that you would just send to them, they could zoom in and bring expert advice or something you want to do, like an opinion or something like that. That was my only concern. You could bring out outside resources and make things more accommodating to know what's going on. Because I've been in a lot of meetings and you have experts that in California, DC, or anywhere that could bring some resources to you that they could just zoom in, but you can't expect them to come and drive in California. If you have meetings that will give you that expert advice. That's the only reason I talk about it. But I'd like to see it pleasure.
Dr. Ellis. I'm just going to say, Greg, I was trying to understand that Coates article that you forwarded. I mean, it seemed like it was kind of ambiguous. I mean, it went back and forth, and then finally almost, like you said, kind of left it up to the individual departments again. There really wasn't an answer, right? There wasn't enough data.
For advisory boards, other than we know for elected boards.
Right. And then, which I guess you worry about a little bit, maybe the resource being available to provide all that, if in fact that was something that we tried to, I don't know the answer to that. I'm just saying, I know, it seems like people maybe that do that, it might be difficult. I don't know.
What's the pleasure of the board, Mr. Peterson?
So, you know, the governor declared state of emergency, it's ceased, and I think that, it's so much more valuable to the people that participate in person than on the Zoom. If Dr. Duncan wanted to have a resource from Raleigh, that's not even what we're talking about here. We're talking about advisory board members. She could definitely do that. That's not an issue with no one, I don't think. But I really think it needs to be in person. We need to get back on track, and the only way to get back on track is to go back before COVID.
Not all of it, but the only reason I'm saying this, Charlie, the reason I brought it up is, to me, it's if you wanted to bring someone in, you using technology. Technology is changing. The world is changing. The way people communicate is changing. Not the same. And you go into the school system now. This, for example, people link in all the time. It's not very complicated. And they link in all the time. And if there's a resource that's available, and I'm saying I would just like for us, the board, to, like you say, leave that resource that's available, that technology piece there, for us to use if we need to have it and implement it. I think that's a separate issue.
That's not even what we talked about last time. Last time the conversation was about advisory board members. I don't think nobody has no problem with someone bringing a resource in on a Zoom meeting to that public meeting.
But what I'm saying, I understand, we go in the same direction, but it should be, I'm just saying that link is there and accessible to an advisory board member, or to anybody that wants to join. Me, if you, or anybody wants to join, that link is there for someone to join in.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask that. Well, I'd actually consider it because some people, I'll use, I don't think she's here. Yes, okay. No, she's not here. Kelly, for her appointment, her meeting at 3:00 in the afternoon, which is not bad. It's just quarterly. Or might be, I don't forgot now. But anyway, you got a lot of seniors on that board. You think they're gonna drive at night and it gets dark? So that will give them the opportunity. It's not like they're not being paid. They're not getting anything other than volunteering to support their community. And I think they should have that opportunity to be able to call in. Most of them don't Zoom, but at least call in and participate. Because basic is more informational session. She shares information and they share information from their community. So I don't understand the difference or why they could not use that avenue or that medium for those things, for the people in that community. For JCPC, I think it'd be great. We vote on a few things. I don't understand why that would not be an option. For some people, not all.
Yes. Is this something we have to vote on, or is this something we can leave at the discretion of each of the team chair people? I mean, is that something? Because it may work with some better than others. I just think we micromanage every whole thing. What you're saying makes sense. I mean, what you're saying makes sense. Dr. Duncan wants to bring somebody and she can do that. She doesn't need our approval. But is it something we have to formally vote on one way or another, or could we leave it up to the committees themselves?
Can I make a motion that we leave it up to the discretion of each advisory committee? That's the motion I'd like to make.
Second.
Is that what they're doing now anyway? Or, you know, that the department heads, I know, I tried to read all that
A
information.
number of them did during the pandemic. I don't know how, in recent months, I don't know how much that's continued. It may be, but I'm just not sure.
You know, it's time to move on. I know you can't make every meeting, but it's your responsibility as commissioners here, as elected, to do your follow-up or do your pre-meeting if you can't be there. I just don't think I think we need to move on. I think we don't need to keep the state of emergency in place. And if people really care about what they want to do, they'll be in person and they'll be at the meetings.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that. Because it's not about the COVID, post-COVID. That's not it. We got it is difficult to get volunteers to participate in some things. Okay, I'm gonna talk about some seniors who, these are advisory boards or information sharing, committees or boards. I don't see why you won't give them this option.
Mr. Gleason. Yeah, prime example, I'm on the rec board.
Mm-hmm.
I had called in a couple of times and this was during COVID, but I couldn't leave work. I was the only person there, but I was able to participate by phone because I couldn't leave work at the present time to make that meeting. And it made me able to do that.
One last thing, it is about COVID, because before COVID, you didn't even have this conversation. I hush.
All right,
Well, I did.
all in favor, raise your right hand.
What is the motion?
A motion that we let every advisory board
Make their own.
make their own decision as how they link their meetings.
All right, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, like sign. Mark?
Thank you. Okay, the next matter is to ask you to, well, let me give a little bit of background. The Parks and Recreation, the park, Bladen County Park, there is a new inclusive playground that's going to be constructed where the current playground is located. So we have playground equipment that needs to be relocated. We don't have any purpose for it. So we want to provide an opportunity, or at least start the discussion with you all about providing an opportunity, for instance, to do a sealed bid so that if there are parties in the county who may be interested in that equipment, that they could make a bid and be awarded to whoever is willing to pay the highest amount, unless you know of other options, unless you know of other needs for it or whatever.
Get rid of the recreation.
The swing set and the, yes, sir.
Need that form of motion.
If that's the approach, I just want to at least to see what your thoughts are. I don't know of anybody who has a, any governmental agency or whatever who has an interest in it necessarily, but it's nicer. You wouldn't want it to just be thrown away or whatever.
Bruce makes the motion.
And I second.
I'll do a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Item D, you all know, we've had conversations with, or time to time had conversations with other agencies such as the community college and school system about ways to work cooperatively and increase efficiencies and that type of thing. Well, an opportunity has presented itself to work with the community college. They have 4 vehicles for their DLET program. And so we would like to propose that the board consider approving a memorandum of understanding for the county garage to service those cars. If it's anything beyond the normal tire change or oil change or whatever, then we'll let them know the price and that type of thing, and then they can make a decision.
Motion to approve. Second to approve by Mr. Peters, second by Mr. McKeel. Question?
Are they gonna pay just the regular, oil change and whatever?
Yes, whatever they call it, what it does like for the oil and that type of stuff.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you. The next 3 matters are our standard protocol each year in December. The board reviews its rules of procedure, code of ethics, conflict of interest policy. So we've shared that with you and welcome your feedback or suggestions about changes that may need to be considered, and be glad to incorporate those. And then we'll plan to present those to you again for you to consider approving them at our next meeting. So, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Individual delegations wish to address commissioners.
Ms. Jones, Ms. Michelle Jones.
Okay, Ms. Jones.
Provide a little more.
Yes, I'm sorry, I was so excited earlier. But regarding what you did approve, I just want to make sure that it goes on record, that everyone knows that, passed with the employee appreciation, that everyone must use it by June 30th of the fiscal year. So everyone needs to utilize that time by June 30th, 2020. Sure that's understood. Please agree. I'm sorry, thank you. All night.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Matters of the commissioners, Mr. Breeden.
Mr. Chair, I'd like, under my opera funds, that, I would like to give Baltimore Road $3,000, sir, out of my funds to support your endeavors out there. I appreciate what you had to say tonight. You've taken a big undertaking, and God bless you, and I hope that'll help you out some. It's hard to get people to do volunteer work in our county or any county today. And my personal feeling is anybody that's trying and willing, and sometimes we may come up short, but guess what? When you give it your all and you try, that's all I can ask, and I think that's all anybody can ask. With that being said, I would like to give $5,000, Mr. Chair, to the East Arcadia Fire Department. You folks are working hard. I stay in contact. Appreciate what you're doing. I know you got a big hurdle, but I see you trying to jump it. And I commend you for trying. And I'm here for you. And I think this entire board's here for you to help you to try to succeed. Hard to get people now willing to give their time and volunteer. So my prayers are with you, and my funds, I hope, will help you to some degree. Continue to try to help. And I thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Got a motion by Mr. Bree, of course, second by Mr. Peterson. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, just for clarification, if I may, I'm not trying to, I'm just trying to be on the same page. We will need to, I just checked with Lisa, I don't think we have current applications, that match those amounts. So we will need to, I just want everybody to have the same understanding, we will need to obtain that information.
Right. I know their request is 10,000, but I would hope if there's money available for somebody else, that we're able to come up with what your need is. I'm having to help some others that I want to do. It's not that I may not come back and try to readdress that as well.
East Arcadia folks, don't need to get up with Ms. Coleman so that you can get the application and make sure that process is complete. I know Spalding Road has already been through the process. They've got it.
Well, they have a request, they have an application, 10,000.
I have the 10,000.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Spalding Road.
Spalding Road has to do it.
Okay, the Spalding Road.
Okay. All right.
East Arcadia is good, though, correct?
Yes.
All, Mr. Chairman, yeah.
Now, you may have answered this, but if organization put in an application, let's say for $20,000 and we award 10, can we do it another 10 without them having to do another application?
As long as it's clear that you're funding the balance on
The previous application. Okay, all right.
I'm sorry, it's Spalding Monroe that we don't have the current.
Sorry. That's fine.
Okay.
Oh, did we?
The question I Ms. Coleman directed you on the application process, to make sure I understand, the one group submitted the application to you for the 5,000 that was from the Baptist or some kind of, it's for $5,000 they give the application.
That's where that you,
Yeah, and I gave you the thing back. Would we need to bring that up and do that recommendation here from the board? Or,
I don't have all the information from you yet.
so you don't have the information yet?
I don't have any that I can bring to y'all right now.
Okay, I just want to make sure. But do we need to appropriate the money? Can we do that
You
tonight?
can appropriate it, but I'm still waiting on information from him before we can submit the application.
But Ms. Phillips, you remember we talked about the one from Lisbon, from Kelly, for the $5,000?
Yep.
How can you earmark if you don't have all the information? I mean, how's that fair to us commissioners, not, that we don't know exactly what's lacking? How can you earmark if you don't have all the information? We need to wait to get all the information. We don't earmark money, don't we?
Well, that's the way it started out, was earmarking.
That's what we've been doing, earmark. Then the application be approved, and if they don't meet the criteria, then they don't get approved.
All right, let's vote on Rick's motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, any other matters of interest to commissioners?
This the one, I like to make a motion that we approve the $5,000 for
Earmark,
the $5,000 for the Kelly project.
Which one of them?
It's,
The center or the?
The God, foreign.
the foreign affairs thing we talked about.
Oh, that was,
Yeah. The overtones over there, they talking about doing some of the youth outreach center and stuff like that.
It was titled God Farm something.
I can't hear you. Oh, okay.
What fund?
Where was it being
For
for?
the next meeting, I mean, I just didn't know, earmark, I didn't know when it was coming, how you gonna prove it, I can wait.
Let's just wait.
You can wait till you bring it to me.
Know the name of it, yeah.
Okay, 'cause I've got the name, I'm trying to find it.
American Legion. Yeah, it's that one.
Motion died for lack of a second. Somebody sign in. Okay, who would like to speak?
One of them home?
Good evening, Commissioners and everyone. We have been planning a little something along to try to come up and thank y'all for your cooperation. Mr. Nathan has worked with us great, commissioners. I almost get choked up, wanting to say how much that we appreciate what y'all have done, but more importantly, the chance, opportunity to give us to prove what we were trying to do. East Arcadia Fire Department may not mean a lot to a whole bunch of people, but it means a lot to us to be able to serve our community, our citizens. We've had some hurdles to overcome, but when we got into overcoming those hurdles, we created a family-like atmosphere down there. And so we're working really hard. I promised in the beginning that y'all would give us a chance, and you did, that we would do everything to make us proud and y'all proud of our efforts. And it's coming along really, really great, and we just thank y'all so much just for the opportunity to be able to help ourselves and our community. If you haven't given us a thing, whatever, we still appreciate the opportunity, and we're making it. We're doing fundraisers regularly. We're not coming out with big hands out all the time, messing with this and that. We're doing what we can to make it on our own. Again, just thank y'all so much for the opportunity, and we look forward to being service to East Arcade and wherever we need in the near future. Again, thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Keep up the good work. Any other matters of interest to commissioners?
I just have to share my pardon me, I apologize, I lost my keys out. Doing some stuff that happened on the farm.
Understood. Motion to adjourn.
I'll second your motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.